That's what we do, man's on the grind, that's what we do. Ain't gonna stop, evolving our game on a daily basis. Stay on the top of the game, make a statement into the win. We ain't gonna lose, the grind don't stop, but I need your boost, I'll see you at the top.
Welcome back to the Evolve Your Game podcast. I am excited to have our next guest, very timely, the Olympics being on right now. So our next guest is 2016 Rio Olympian, 2011 Youth Commonwealth Games medalist, All-American honours and record holder at the University of Wisconsin, and my swim coach, Maddie Hutchins. Welcome along, Maddie.
Thank you for having me. It sounds, when you put 2011 on some of my achievements, it makes me sound a bit old.
No, you're right. You just started so young, mate.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about how, or just sort of where things started, where you sort of came from, and how you got into swimming?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much swimming kind of started somewhat by accident for me. Always knew how to swim, like grew up knowing how to swim and stuff like that, and very much played rugby growing up, as most kids do in New Zealand. And then pretty much I won swimming sports one year, and then kind of got asked to approach. Well, I approached them like, hey, you should join the swim club. One of the kids you beat swims to this club. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever. And then it sort of became the idea of doing swimming as summer fitness. Like the club that I was at Burnham Swim Club. So the club was only there over the summer. So I was like, sweet, I'll swim 3 times a week over the summer and be in really good fitness for rugby season. And then a couple of years there, and then moved into town for school and made my way to Whanganui Swim Club. And then, just over the years, progressively got more and more results that, got me more interested in the sport, started breaking Canterbury records, started placing at nationals, a couple of national records. And then, just sort of took over the side of my life that was rugby. Progressively got moved further and further out the back line, out of the important positions of the sport. Swimming, I think part of me I personally probably enjoyed the personal, being an individual sport more. I was quite a competitive person, so it was quite nice to sort of have that, the winning or losing really based just on my own shoulders. Grew up swimming at Whanganui and Riccarton, went to school at Lincoln, really easy to get to and from the pool and school. And then, through people that went to America and stuff like that, ended up, in college in Wisconsin, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. And then that led to, the goal of qualifying. The goal was always to qualify for the Olympics, but then that leads qualifying for the Olympics, and then, so on and so on. And there's been a few extra ups and downs in there, I guess, but.
Did you, or when did you have to give up rugby? Did you just kind of have to make a decision, or you just sort of?
I mean, I probably officially gave up when I was like 15. But I think I was probably checked out from about 13. I think it was something I liked playing rugby. And then, I think there was a point where I was trying too hard to like go to swim meets on a Saturday and a Sunday, and then like go play rugby games between, and then come back. And, I wasn't really prepared to not go to swim meets. And I think, and at the time, I probably didn't realize if I can't skip one day of a swim meet to go play a rugby game, I'm probably more interested in swimming than I am in playing rugby. As I joke with my friends now, to be fair, 15 was probably the point that I could only physically handle a game of rugby. I think after that, I would have just got broken every single time. So, it was nice. And, just swimming was it just sort of took over from about, 14, 15. I think I was like 15, and someone was like, you could be really good. You could go to the Olympics. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like, let's do that. Yes.
Yeah. And so when you started taking it seriously, how often were you sort of starting to train? Was it just 3 times a week sort of, or to get more?
I'd say probably 3 times a week was probably only that first time at Burnham. That was like a few days. I think once I joined Whanganui, I was probably there every day. After school, in an hour and a half, like Monday to Friday, the occasional Saturday. And then, I mean, to be fair, I probably started getting results faster. I think I was 12. I got like top 10 in junior nationals. By 13, I won a bronze medal at national age groups, and I kind of saw that. And then I think the competitiveness took over, and then I started training with older guys. And then it was probably about 14 or 15 that I started doing morning trainings. Probably from about 15 think probably 14, 15, I was probably doing 8 to 10 swims a week, through most of high school.
wow.
So most mornings at the pool.
Yeah.
Then, so lots of early mornings. I don't know how I did it. I think if you asked me to wake up at 3:30 now to go to a pool, I can't even get up to go to the pool at 7 o'clock now. So, did my time in high school. I don't know how I had the energy. God forbid what mum and dad's weekend would have been like.
Yeah, so they were dropping you off every morning.
Yeah, mum would drop me off. Mum would drop me off and go for a walk around Hagley Park. I think dad used to start work like 5 or 6, so he would often pick me up in the afternoons, and then the trade-off was mum fitting. And so, yeah.
Nice. And they were quite involved, I believe, in swim stuff as well, once you got into it?
Yeah, dad probably more so than mum. I mean, mum's, like super supportive, obviously, from both of them. Mum very much was the one taking me to morning training. Even when I first got my restricted license and started driving me, there was the text us when you get to the pool. So I think it took about 12 months of me actually driving by myself before they could knowing that I'd made it to training safely. Then, dad comes from a bit of a sporting background, played a lot of sports to a high level for like the Air Force and stuff like that. And I think at the time, I don't think I recognized what it was. I kind of just thought he was quite, into it. I think that was just his way of, we kind of connected through sport, and we probably still do. But he took it upon himself to kind of he was an IOT at swim meets. He started off as timekeeping, moved to an IOT, got the proper like skills and stuff so he could be involved. And I think it was just, if we're going to spend this much time at a pool, he may as well do it and not just be, sitting poolside. He did used to joke that he'd beat me to the Olympics because he thought if he got qualified high enough as an official, he'd get chosen to represent our region as like a starter or an official. But I think once I moved to America, he was like, oh, I don't have to be involved in swimming anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. So how did that opportunity in the States come up? Do you have like an agent, or does it just someone approach you guys? Or
honestly, I mean, compared to how it probably goes now, again, similar to starting swimming, stumbled into the opportunity at Wisconsin, which worked out really well. But I knew a few people that had gone. I knew, and at the same time, a girl that I grew up with, Natasha Lloyd, she'd gone through, there's recruiting companies and stuff, and she'd gone through a recruiting company and you just pay up front and do this. I had another friend that did it, and he was just like, hey man, you just go do some research, look up the schools you want to go to, find their emails and email them. So I pretty much, when I finished high school, I didn't think I was going. I was like, nah, that seems like too much. And then I think like 3 months after I finished high school, about what sucks being here, I'm not doing any prep, so I'm going to take off. And then pretty much just went and found like the top 10 schools that year from NCAAs, found their athletics departments, found their swim coaches, emailed them, was like, hi, my name's Matt, I do this, these are my times. I think of the 10 or 11 that I applied for, messaged, I think like 3 answered my email. None of which were Wisconsin. One of them was Texas, and then the head coach was anyways. This he just retired. He was my college coach's coach, and my college coach in that college, and they passed my email off to Wisconsin, and then they were pretty much like, "Hey, this stuff would be really good for you." And then like a couple of weeks later, I got an email from Wisconsin saying, "Hey, you interested in kind of here?" I had to look at the map and actually figure out where Wisconsin was. And then that's kind of the
nice. And I guess the good thing about swimming is you can just look off times, right? Like if other sports you say, oh, I'm good at this or good at that, but swimming, it's like, you've got to be fast to be good, right? Like it's quite a universal measure.
Yeah, it's very cut and dry. There's not much debate about whether someone's good or not. I mean, there's a lot of discussion between how people train and I guess what the potential is. But on paper, this person does this fine, this person does this fine. That's all you've got to go off. So, I was pretty lucky at that point. I was good enough to still end up at a really top, a top 40s program. I was really lucky that kind of when I got there was in a bit of a rebuild or rebrand. Like the coaching staff had just changed in the last couple of years, and the program is really built around middle distance freestylers, and obviously that was me. So just went in and was really lucky. There was a guy on the team who had just graduated when I got there. He was really good at the 400 land. He was one of the top swimmers in America, really good at 200. So I had people to go in and chase from the moment I got there, which is just really good for me competitively. Like I didn't want to go somewhere where I was number one, because there was the challenge. And then, so finding someone and challenged every day, was able to race every day. And then every year the school just got better and better, and it just created this really good training environment.
Yeah, no. What was it like to? So was that your first like major experience overseas, living away from home and stuff?
It was my first time living away from home. Absolutely, I had lived at home all the way from when I was 19, so I'd never lived away from mum and dad. A lot of people asked, do you know how to cook this? Do you know how to cook this? And it turns out I didn't actually know how to cook a huge amount. I managed to survive. And then I had been overseas before. Like I'd been lucky to travel as a kid. Had been to America before. My uncle lives in LA, so they'd been lucky to go over, and so it wasn't too much of a culture shock. But moved into a house with 7 other people on the swim team, that was pretty full on, and living in a meeting room, how things work, and meeting new people and learning different ways of how everything works and stuff like that, and having to learn that muesli is called granola, and they don't actually know what you're talking about when you call it muesli. But I was also really lucky. There was a couple of Australians on the team, so there was it was a little bit of a connection. And one of them still my really good friends. So it was great. It was definitely a culture shock. I think it really took me 1 or 2 months to really feel like I had settled in. And then once you kind of get the changing in school as well was quite an adjustment. And then once you got all that under my belt, it kind of took off in me.
Yeah, nice. And what's the sort of college life like? Is it like what you see in the movies with the frat parties and all the?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some similarities. It's like one of those. I always tell people it's the stories come from somewhere, and it's not made up for movies. I'll tell you that much. Whether or not it's extreme, like I'm sure some people had those experiences. Like we didn't really associate too much with the frats. Wisconsin was really a boarding school, and then. We had a team of 45 swimmers. We were a co-ed team, 45 swimmers. So you don't really need much else to go to a party. You just get the swim team together, pile into a basement and have a good time. So,
Nice.
And then, like I said, we're really lucky. The sponsored lads that build like basketball. So, the football games, aiming, all that kind of stuff. So, and,
those football teams and stuff, like they're like almost pro. Full setups with big crowds and...
Yeah, I mean, another way the college team is pretty much a franchise in itself, just of different sports. Like, I think someone told me once, pretty much our football team made so much money that it pretty much funded the athletic department. So, like, all this pretty much got paid out from the money that with badges made from, the football team's game, TV contracts and stuff like that. So, I mean, we had the biggest football stadium in the state, and we... are in the same stadium as the Green Bay Packers, so it's pretty crazy, and I think it's been upgraded since I've come home. So I think it's somewhere near like 85,000 seats or something like that, which is pretty nuts. So yeah.
Did you get to go to any like NBA games or an NFL game or anything like that?
I've done all 4 of the major sports actually. Yeah, so I used to go to LA for Christmas, see my uncle most years. So I've been there a couple of times. We did, I've done a Clippers game, done a Lakers game, done a Dodgers game in baseball. Went to a Rams game at the stadium at USC before they got the big new stadium. I've been in college ice hockey game. I've never been to a pro hockey game, but I've been told that's one of the ones you should go to in person. But to get to that, I've done my experience. I've been to a LeBron James game, so I've knocked that one off the list before he retires, which is nice. So
nice. And what about the training? What was the training and stuff like? Like, just pretty professional. Do you have like multiple coaches and other like strength and conditioning guys and sports psychs, etc.?
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much anything we wanted access to, we had like on your day-to-day basis. We've had we had like 5 coaches on poolside, and then we obviously had a head coach, a bunch of assistant coaches who kind of oversaw different things. Like we've got someone who was more or less a sprint or a stroke coach, someone who's a distance freestyle coach. The head coach was sort of more on that middle distance kind of range, so yeah, that 200 kind of similar. And then, you moved around that, and we turned up every day. We had a 50-meter pool, great facility, 8 innings, 50 meters. If you put the bulkhead in the middle, we suddenly had 16, 25-yard lanes that we could split the team across. So, yeah, and then it was nice. You kind of lined up, and the fastest people went at the front of each lane. So it wasn't, all the fast people in this lane. Yeah, so you were going to kind of every way you would someone who was the level. It's so hard to find something like that over here, just competing for pool space.
Yeah.
And then just the size of the facility, like a really good quality pool, which again was Hutchins now upgraded since I've been here. So with what they've got now is even better. And then we were gymming 3 times a week. Yeah, we had our own strength and conditioning guy who really loved. He was working with all the smaller sports, loved his wrestling, loved his swimming, loved his track and field, really got involved in all that kind of stuff that was then good. Tutors for school, if we needed them. Obviously, the last thing they want you to do is fall behind in school, because you've got to be academically eligible. So, if you were falling behind in the class, you just ask, and they could help find you a tutor. And quite often, there was more than one person in the athletic department struggling with the class. So, quite often you have a group of, I think I had a tutoring group for my Portuguese class. One of the guys is now in the NFL. There was me who went to the Olympics. There was a guy who was actually on the All Whites team. And then, it was across the board. And then there was one time my tutor was tutoring a guy who had gone to the NFL, but he hadn't finished uni. So he came back and he was taking Spanish classes and stuff like that. So, and then, if you wanted it, nutritionist, if you wanted it, sports psychologist and stuff like that. So probably should have used that to my advantage a little bit more. But, for what I was doing at the time, it was more, and it was all taken care of, not something that I had to search out for itself. You just ask, and suddenly you've got a phone number or something like that. So,
nice. And then you set a couple of records there, or just recently lost one, right?
So when I left, I was the school record holder of the 500-yard, the 1,000-yard, and the 1650 or the mile. So I still hold the 1650 and the 1,000. I think I said the other day my school record, I think it ranks as like the 11th or the 12th fastest school record in the country. So I was pretty stoked about that. So just this past year, one of the kids on the team broke my 500 record. So, a little bit rough, but record made to be broken. It was a good nearly 8 years of holding it. So I think 8 years is a reasonable time to expect the school record to get broken. It shows that the school's heading in the right direction.
Nice. Because is Tycho, is it? That's from Whananui, who's in the Olympics at the moment. He's there now, or what?
So Tycho Tsepi, he grew up swimming at Whananui. So I think when I left, he might have been like 11 or 12. So I came back, and then it just kind of, they were obviously, I like to think that maybe they're a bit more open to taking people from overseas because I did so well. Actually one of the assistant coaches that was there was a senior when I first got there, and she kind of messaged me and was like, "Hey, we're interested in recruiting this kid from the team. Can you put us in touch? Give me the interest?" And I was like, "I can only ask for you." And then, so I put them in touch, and it's worked out really well for him as well. So, Wisconsin, methodically, Wisconsin Olympic pipeline is currently 2 for 2. And trying to figure out who I can send over there next, keep the reputation up of something over there in Wisconsin. So,
nice. So has he only recently joined?
So he's just done 2 years. So he's just in his sophomore year. So he's been over there for 2 years now. So he's got 2 seasons there. I think this season he really liked the first season. I think he he was a bit injured but sick for most of the year and did all right. And this year he won the Big Ten in the 50 freestyle, which is the first time I think the men have done that at Wisconsin for a long time. He just got beaten for first in the 100-yard freestyle. But he broke the school record in both, and I think with the team itself won the 4x50 freestyle relay. So, he's a big part of that, really earning his spot on the team. Like being a really good 50 freestyle, 100 freestyle that gets you immediately like 4 relays. So you're a pretty valuable member,
Mm.
to the team in that sense, because the Americans love their relays and it's double points at national.
Yeah. Yeah. So so you were there 2013, 2016, and you went to the Olympics that last year. Do you have to come back and like trial, or do you just go off times, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I got there Christmas 20. Well, I started the new year of 2014. I did a mid-year enrollment, so I kind of started at the store January 2014, so the 2013-2014 season, and then came back in 2018. So 2016 was after my my junior seasons, after my third year, and it was actually kind of frustrating at the time. At the start of that year, Swimming New Zealand announced that their Olympic trials were going to be pretty much the Sunday that we finished College Nationals. So we raced College Nationals Wednesday through to Saturday. And then New Zealand in Hampshire. So and the infinite wisdom decided to organise Olympic trials to start that Sunday morning. And they were pretty much like, we're going to have to make a decision. I was like, unfortunately, the school gets paying $55,000 a year for me to go to school. It's probably going to take priority. And then New Zealand, like we got really lucky, Swimming New Zealand reached out to Swimming Canada and they had their Olympic trials a week and a half later.
Nice.
So, this whole idea that they could only hold their trials in 1 week is a bit silly because all every other country are holding their trials at 1 week. Me and a bunch of other people from, who were at college at the time went up to Canadian trials and qualified there. So 2 of us made the team.
Yeah.
I think 2 of the 6 swimmers or 2 of the 7 swimmers made it without being at trials. So I'm not sure. It's one of those things. That's what we got there. It was important. I'd already swum under the qualifying time the summer in 2015. So I just had to go and make sure I was under qualifying time again. And then obviously with the Olympics, you're only allowed 2 swimmers per event. So I was very much watching what was happening at the end of the trials, straight after, and making sure, seeing if 2 people qualified. And, I think some one person went under the 400 free qualifying time. So I just had to make sure I did my time again and got that. And so that booked my ticket. And then when I was over there, I was the only swimmer with a time near enough in the 1500. So I got some 1500 as well.
Nice.
So and it's very much still based on times, and you can only take 2 swimmers per event. But it was a bit of a shit show at the time, from what I remember of it. But only time I've ever been to Canada, I can say I've been to Toronto, so that was an experience. And it was really nice actually. In my heat that I qualified in, I was actually swimming next to a guy called Ryan Cochrane from Canada, who was he was a bronze medalist at the 2012 Olympics. So it was actually a really good spot to be in. I was next to him in the heat, and I was like, well, if I'm with him, I'm in with a good shot. And then I kind of remember it 100 meters to go. I was like, I feel like we're going a bit slow, and just sort of had to take off. And I remember I qualified, had a little bit of a celebration, and he was just like, hey, did you qualify? I was like, yeah. He's like, congrats. So that was kind of a cool wee moment from someone who won a medal. He was just like, hey, awesome job, man. Yeah, kind of thing.
So when you're swimming along like that, are you quite aware of where the other people are if they're right beside you?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty hard to not see someone next to you. It's but it is very easy to get caught up in racing. So much of racing, especially when the sport is so determined by times. It's so important to have your own sort of race plan, your own thing, and at the end of the day, if you win the race, that's something that takes over maybe with the last length. And I think you're seeing a lot of that at the Olympics right now. The times in the finals aren't super fast. I think a lot of and there's a lot of people who should be favourites, and the field's hanging with them, and whether or not the people who are favourites are getting caught up in the race or people are racing them, it's just one of those things. And I think the old saying that people say is, if you're in a lane, you've got a lane, you've got a chance. So, if you're in the Olympic final, no matter who's got what times, at the end of the day, the basic of the race is to get your hands on the wall first. And some people are better at doing that than others. And then some people swim really fast some people swim really fast when they're chasing. Some people swim really fast by being out in front. And it comes down to the athlete.
Yeah, nice. So if you like, obviously things might have changed a wee bit since then, but I've got a few clients who are heading over to the States or looking to for like golf or football or other sports. Is there any advice you give them on how to go about that?
Like, and how to approach the school, or like they're already going to school.
Yeah. Or just how the best way of getting those opportunities. Yeah.
I mean, you just got to put yourself out there, I think. You've got to know what you're doing it for. I think for me, like I said earlier, I was very much going for swimming, needed to find a school that was best for my approach. A lot of the time I spent, I was looking at schools, I was looking at their score records, I was looking at, their top 10 times and converting all my times and like, where would I rank? Like, I don't want to go somewhere where I'm somewhere 10 seconds faster than anyone else, or, you want to be somewhere where you're challenged and I can be challenged. And, a lot of it comes down to environment. What kind of school are you looking for? What kind of degree do you want to do? Because that is, at the end of the day, that's the other 50% of your life. There's going to be 50% of your life of sport and 50% of your life of school. Yeah. And anything you can fit into that 100% is going to be up to you. So you best off finding somewhere where, one, you're going to enjoy living, somewhere you're going to enjoy life, and you think it's going to be better off for your life after sport. And then I think on top of that, just once you're there, just take every single opportunity you can. I think one of the things I wish I'd done more was got more involved with, student groups and student athlete groups and netball and stuff like that. But I was very focused on sport at the time. But looking back, I obviously wouldn't change it, but there's things that it's such a cool opportunity. There's such a whole world out there of connections that you can make from college sport. That you'd be so dumb to go over there for 4 years and not take advantage of it.
Yeah, nice. So just before we go on to the Olympics, so you went to the Junior Commonwealth Games or Youth Commonwealth Games Isle of Man. What was that like? Is that quite a big event? Is it similar to a?
Yeah, I mean, it's big and it's like it is a multi-sport event, like it's run like the Commonwealth Games. Again, my one was in the Isle of Man. That was a bit of a weird.
Cool. So just before we go on to the Olympics, you had Youth Commonwealth Games back in 2011. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what it was like to compete there?
Yeah, I think it was a multi-sport event. I think it was my first time being on a New Zealand team or anything like that. So it was pretty exciting, and it very much was, like a miniature version of what the Commonwealth Games was. So we did it. We had a track, we had all this. I think the one I went to was a little bit more miniature than what it was. We were in the Isle of Man, which was real random, and it was in this little 25-meter pool. I think they picked the Isle of Man before really realizing what sort of facilities they had, but that was really interesting. We had an opening ceremony. We did the walk around the little rugby field and stuff like that, and had a little bit of a closing ceremony, which was probably more like a little bit of a school disco. It was very odd. It was a really cool experience. We got to go in there and it was racing the Australians there, the South Africans there. There was a really good team from, I was going to say Great Britain, but for the Commonwealth Games, the England, Wales, all that kind of stuff. So it was a crazy experience. Like I said, Isle of Man, I had never heard of the place before, and this big trip away. And swam really well at the time and was really happy with it. And it was probably that first building block of, I think there was a lot. There was no warm down pool, so the way the swim meet was ran was real different. It was very much this is, sometimes you're outside of your comfort zone and you've got to do this. And it turns out Europe has really small beds and low doorways. So it was very much felt like, even at 15, I was, 15 or 16, I felt very big compared to the rest of the week. It was an adjustment. And so, it was great. I mean, it's such a long time ago, came away with a few medals, and, there was 2 of us on the team that ended up on the Olympic team. Well, sorry, 3 of us that ended up on the Olympic team in 2016. So, it's pretty crazy. When you look
swimmers or just 3 athletes?
Swimmers. So there was me, Corey, and then Emma Robinson, who made it. There's probably other athletes, to be fair. I wouldn't say I kept in touch with too many of them, but
nice. Because you won a gold, 2 silvers, and a bronze, eh?
Yeah, so gold in the 400, silver in the 200 and the 1500, and we got a bronze in the 4x200 relay.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, cool. Can you remember? Was there any like gun athletes from the other sports that made it from New Zealand or any other sports?
So on the team we had Corey Main. I think he still holds the national record in the 100 backstroke. So he made the Olympics. He made a couple of Commonwealth Games teams, a couple of World Champs teams. He may have made the relay team. The guy that beat me in the 200 freestyle from Wales ended up on the relay team at the Olympics in 2012 for the Great British team. So he was pretty hot shot.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember anyone else who made it. I'm sure there was plenty of people that carried on at least to the next Olympics or something like that. So, hard to believe I was only 15 or 16 at the time. So I think we all had to be under 18, so it's pretty crazy to go from there.
Yeah, nice. Cool. So, was it around then that you sort of started to think that the Olympic dream was kind of reality, and or if not, when was that?
I think that seed had already been put in my brain before that point. I think that was sort of the beginning of the journey. But I think it was probably around 15. I think I had I went on a national camp. I went up and trained with a bunch of the older guys from Auckland. It was a select camp, and we did some like video feedback stuff. They filmed us swimming a couple of 50s and racing, and the coach at the time, he was the national coach at the time. He was sort of breaking all the stuff down. He looked at me, he's like, that's this section of your stroke is actually really good, like really world class. I think if you can develop this and this and this, you're off to a really good starting point. As a freestyler, this is really high end, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, wow. And then luckily had a coach from Canterbury, not my coach, but a coach that I was really close with. And, she was like, that's, are you involved in what he just said to you? Like I think you need to just realize that, this is not just him saying, this is an encouraging thing. And I think from there, it really, and then I think in my mind, it sort of drove the competitiveness. I really liked winning. And I think that really drove the point that it was no longer about just it wasn't just about winning in Canterbury. It wasn't just about winning in New Zealand. Now it was about, actually investing in the training and doing times and trying to, I guess win by more, but also swim times that were representative of where I wanted to be.
Yeah. And then so you're obviously in the States leading up to the Olympics. Was there, what was it that, what was it like just once you got the call up and then getting to the, to the Olympics itself?
So I mean, it was pretty handy. Like obviously, I went up to Canada for the Olympic trials, and obviously knew at the time because obviously we'd had New Zealand trials, so I knew if I swam the time I was in. So I think I came back to the Canada for I think I came back on a Sunday. I was allowed out of the water until Wednesday afternoon, I think was what I was allowed, just for, it had been a really long olive season and been a really long summer before that. And you've only got a few months, you've only got about 3 months after trials until the Olympics starts. You can't really miss it. I think it's just like a 2.5 day reset. Everyone else had just had the in season. I had to stick around and train until trials. So it was pretty much just straight back into the swing of things, no rest. And you've gone from, I guess in the States, you have conference champs at the end of the season. And then if you make NCAAs, you have that about a month afterwards. So, you're already kind of tapering or resting up for conference champs, which is a big 2 to 3 week process to some people. And then you go there and then you've got another month up here. So then you've got time to hold that speed, hold that fitness for a month. And then I had to hold that for another 2 weeks to be informed to qualify. So, that last 2 weeks, most people kind of get a bit of a de-stress. And I got my 3 days and stayed back into it. And then, I mean, what did we do that summer? We went up to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. We trained at altitude, flew off to a couple of different meets, America, just trying to get some racing practice in. I went off with the team to the US Olympic trials, which was pretty cool, like a pretty cool experience, and just trained there at the time. It was fun. Parts of it were quite lonely. There was a lot of time because obviously the American summer looks a little bit different with their training camps and their Olympic trials are only about a month before the games. So, when all the Americans on the team were, preparing and resting up for that, I was really picking up into the grunt of my trainers. So there was a good few weeks where a lot of my hard sessions were done alone, done by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, which took a bit of a toll. And not saying it was bad, but at the time I remember it was just like we were grinding out. The end goal was right there. It wasn't like I was doing it for nothing. I just remember being in such good state. I remember just like looking back on the training times I was doing. Yeah, even when I got to training camp for the New Zealand staging camp, some of the times I was moving in the water with, I don't even know. It's it. Being back in the pool now, I don't know how I was doing it and stuff like that. So I just remember like, and even now just thinking like I'll never be in that sort of physical or aerobics, I think, ever in my life.
Yeah. What would the time difference between your peak time and like now, how much would you fall back to, you reckon? For 400?
In the 400, I mean, I think I'd be lucky if I could break 4 minutes long course now. And I mean, I was going to 3:48. I'd be lucky if I could break 4 minutes now. And I think I was in training camp. I remember, I think it was long course. And I did like a build 400. So like start off slow and get faster. And I think I went a 4:05, just in training in the period. So like, I'd be lucky if I could die and race a 4:05 now. So, it was just, just the speed that I was holding, so relaxed and, so much, obviously swimming the 1500 and swimming the mile in the college, just the aerobic level that I had was, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, and then did you have to fly back to New Zealand and then fly, or did you just meet the guys in straight in Rio, or how did you go from there?
We had a staging camp in College Station in Texas, so on the campus of Texas A&M. So I just flew down and met them there. They brought over my bag, and instead of them sending all that team gear there, we just flew in. Glenn Snyder's the breaststroke on the team. He was living in LA at the time. So we were both based. Corey Nade was in Florida, so we all just sort of met in the same spot and went on down, and the rest of the team met us there from America. So it was kind of handy, like not having to have that sort of extra travel burden. And then I think we spent 7 or 8 days in College Station, kind of trying to adjust to the time zone. Like we did our trainings on the Rio time zone, and then it was a 8 or 9 hour flight from Houston down to Rio. And then we were in Rio for, I think we were there for a week. You're allowed to go into the village like a week beforehand. So we flew in, checked in, and then you were warming up and racing in the pool and stuff like that. And
what is it like in the village environment? Did you get to mingle in with the athletes much? And
I mean it's pretty full on experience. Like it's just a whole area with this big bunch of apartment buildings, and then there's a big tent that's the dining hall. We got there, and I think the first day we checked in, you go do your normal greetings, come into the New Zealand team, they meet you, there's a haka and a pothuru and all that kind of stuff. And there was pretty crazy just hanging out in like the team lounge. I think there was one time we were just sitting there and a couple of us were just chatting to Valerie Adams. The Sevens girls were always, the Sevens team themselves were always around, like Sonny Bill Williams was there. That was pretty crazy. But I think it's pretty full on. Like you're in the dining hall, people from other countries, you're mixing and mingling and you're crossing sports. I think I remember it was like the first or second day we were there. We were just walking back from the dining hall. There was tennis courts just out there in the village, people to mess around. And there was this massive crowd around the tennis court. Like, what's going on? It was just like Novak Djokovic just in his post, just playing grabbing tennis. So like everyone had just like lined up and start. So it was pretty crazy. And then there would, the night of the opening ceremony, all the NBA players were in there. They were all in the dining hall. They'd come in for that. So it was pretty crazy. Like you're seeing famous people around, and obviously, on the part of things, Michael Phelps and stuff. That being in America, had obviously been around meets with them, but it's still, all these people that you've looked up to and seen race before, suddenly you're there with them. It's just pretty crazy.
Did you have much time before your event and after? Or in terms of,
I was day one. So 400 free is the first morning of the Olympics, so no opening ceremony. So we were racing the next day, and then I was day one, and then my 1500 heat was day 7. So yeah, had a few years that fell in between, which is a bit tough. And I think it kind of again probably took a little bit of a toll on me by the time I got to the 1500. But thanks, the 400 was, I guess, my main focus, my main race. At the time. Based off that was what I was really there for, and it was great to get to swim the 1500. But I think by the time I got to day 7, I was
yes.
I think at that point it would have been 2 weeks in the village and like the same thing. I think historically most people look back, and I don't think Rio was the best catered Olympics. I think it's please. You got to eat so much of the same pasta and so much of the same for 2 weeks before you kind of start to go a little bit insane.
Could you swim between it all, like just casual swim, or is it just once? It's just your event and that's it.
No. So there was heaps of pools around. Like there was a whole pool that you go and swim the whole time I was there. Yeah, like obviously I was in the water between day 1 and day 7, like varying stuff like that. But it was just like a normal swim meet. You're still there. You're hanging around the whole pool. You run racing every day, so you're there every day, hopping in, preparing, and just trying to get yourself best prepared. So,
and then so 400 your main event. So it was straight away early on, which I guess would have been quite good to not too much build up and waiting around. How did you find like being on the blocks and like waiting like for that? Like it's 4 years for it's a big.
Yeah,
I always think it's crazy, like watching like a sprinter does 4 years to run for 10 seconds and that's it. They're done. So
my mind was, at that point it was my first Olympics, so that was really my whole life and really built up to 3 minutes and 48 seconds of racing. So it was pretty crazy. One of the main things I remember is just sweating inside my goggles. Like I was just so nervous. I think I was just like sweating and so stressed. And normally I'm quite a relaxed person behind the blocks and just kind of chilling out. I just remember had my cap on way too early, had the goggles on. I didn't really never walked out. There's a stadium of 25,000 people. Like I've never stood in front of that many people before, and so obviously swam on TV and all that kind of stuff. But actually being around that many people was pretty crazy. And then my heat of the Olympics, we'd get up there and they take your marks, and they held us for a little bit longer, and then suddenly some guy on the ball fell on, and they're like, "Missed it," and you're like, "Oh God, like let me just swim already!" Like you're like, "God damn, like what's going on?" So it was pretty full on, and then just all over quite quickly in the end. So
What was your time like compared to what you'd been? What we hitting and training and.
I swam at PB. I swam at best.
Nice.
Still to this day is my best time. I think at the time, I'm very sure, but now I definitely thought I should have been a little bit faster. I think, if I could have the race that would change a few things with the race approach, was definitely to be cautious. But, at the end of the day, a lot of people go to the Olympics and don't do their best time. You're going to improve, and, I still placed in the top 20. So, a lot of positives. I was just outside the national record, which is a bit of a bummer. I really had my heart set on that at the time. It was just one of those things, it was all part of the experience. I got in there, I did, I think, as I said, if I'd got the chance again, I'm sure I could do it. And you take what you can get.
How do you sort of manage that? So like you obviously have expectations of times and like records and placing and stuff, and do you have any help with like the mental side of things with working on those expectations? And
well, at the time, no. At the time was definitely something I was not good at, and I think anyone who knew me at the time would probably heavily agree with that statement. I think at the time I was very much like, not the week I wanted, blah 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 blah, and then I think the next month afterwards, I think I found it really hard to figure out how to tell. And I think for the next month, it's been so long. I was disappointed in my swims. It was a PB. It was like a 5-second PB, which is great. You can't argue with being second fastest you've ever been. But for the next month, just having to deal with people asking, "Oh, how was it? Was it amazing?" With this, and just like in the back of your mind, just having kind of squished down this like, well, actually, no, like I wanted to do better. I should have, in my mind. And I think at the time it wasn't a super big movement. I think now there's so much more avenues for athletes to be able to actually be like, hey, can I talk to someone around? I think at the time I just bottled a lot of it up, and I think I was very well prepared. I think I had good coaching, I had good support around me, but there was no one there. I didn't have there was people there afterwards, but I don't think anyone that was really not emotional. There was family and friends, but you don't want to come back and then talking to your mum or your dad and be like, well, actually, I'm pretty disappointed with how I swam. Because that's not what they want, that's not what they want to hear. You want to talk to someone who can just unbiased and be like, good, I'm glad you feel that way. However, we need to move through this, what we can move. So, I think, like I said, I think at the time, I was terrible at that kind of stuff, and I think that was ultimately what sort of wore me down. It's, I'd say there's definitely that kind of stuff there now, which is great. I think that's been over the last 5 or 6 years in sports, which is great. But
what would have time been that you would have been happy with, or how would you have?
I think going into it, I definitely felt I was capable of a 3:46. I think the way I was training, times I was swimming, the speed I had, I definitely felt I was capable of going 3:46. If not slightly faster. But I think probably going in, I was probably only really going to be happy unless I broke the national record. Like I think that was probably in my mind the goal, not so much swimming as fast as I'm breaking that national record because I was so close to it. But at the time, I think when you get so focused on one thing, it tends to take away from all the other stuff.
Yeah, for sure. What about how do you sort of measure success as a swimmer, just generally? Is it just that timing stuff, and because obviously placings and stuff is a bit of out of control and other athletes and
I mean it's a great discussion for people to have about minds, is that I think it's a discussion that really transcends swimming, and something I really had to dissect before I got back into the sport recently with what is success. When I recently got back into the sport, I was like, man, I'd love to qualify for the Olympics again. And someone's like, but what if you don't? I was like, what do you mean? Like, are you fully prepared for this to not happen? And if that doesn't happen, is this a failure? Like, what does, and I think success is different to everyone. Like some people, some people, success is just winning. But I think winning can overshadow so much stuff. You could, like you said, you could swim a world record, but if someone beats you in the race, they get the world record, they get the gold medal. Like it's not, and that's no discredit to anything you've just done. You are now like, if that person wasn't there, so like, is success always winning? No. I think, depending on what level you're at, I think if you're getting kids in sports at a younger age, especially in swimming, success is, actually mastering that really good backstroke to breaststroke turn. Success is actually doing a full race and maintaining that skill that you want. And I think it's important to teach people to swim to win. Like you want to swim to win. We're not just here, you're not just here to have a good time. Like I think you can swim too far back we're just doing this to have fun. Well, no, winning is the most fun you'll ever have. But where's that balance? And I think, for me, success at that time was only breaking records and swimming times. Whereas I wasn't looking at success was the fact that I was 21 years old and I had achieved something that I wanted to achieve since I was about 15 years old. But I got back to school and then it was on to the next thing, and I had no process to process that. So there was nothing that I went through. I was like, well, actually, let's take a step back. It was like, well, I need to go to the next thing. The next thing's my chance to improve. My next thing is the chance to prove that I am actually good enough to do this. So I think, defining what a success is very individual. And I think New Zealand loves defining success as winners. And there's not so much, it's very hard to find that balance for like people.
Well, because there's also like for sort of Olympics athletes, there's a lot of funding related to like how successful you are in terms of where you are and stuff. So
Yeah.
how
Well,
does that work with you guys?
yeah, I mean, in New Zealand, I mean, though, that if you're not a rugby player, goodness, on your own to your good is really kind of the mindset for a lot of sports. Like, unless you're going to be in an Olympic fight and no one really wants to hear from you, or at least at that top level, like the money always goes to developing these rugby teams and all that kind of stuff. And you know, now you got a bit of this kind of stuff, but you know, track, swimming, you know, rowing's all right, but unless you are already that good on your own, or with your own support systems, they're not going to invest that money in you. So, I mean, I think Swimming New Zealand has some of things. They used to have all these carding systems and you had access to this and that. You know, I got more support being in America, just by being a college student, than I ever did by being in a swimmer in New Zealand. And I think, you know, they have performance grounds, so high performance sport gives grants out to people that place and do this, and I never got to that level. So, yeah.
Yeah. That would be. I imagine that would be like you're not just competing for your, you know, personal performance, but you might be competing for your livelihood in some cases.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, that adds a lot of pressure to someone, you know, coming out of college, you know, coming out of high school, coming out of college, going, I've got there. How do I do this full time? What's the support system around, and how do I keep this going? So,
yeah, nice. So, well, just adding on to those, so like mental skills is a big thing that we sort of work on. In hindsight, or what did you have any sort of form of, like, obviously not necessarily like formal, but anything that worked for you as a mental skill to help you perform or prepare or get support in that at all?
yeah, I think the last couple of years being back in the sport, obviously I took a few years off and had to when I came back had to work through some demons. Especially on the mental side of the sport. And I think I was really lucky to work with a guy named John Quinn, mental skills coach.
Oh, yeah.
He was really helpful. We had a few discussions over breakfast, over coffee, and just, you know, recommendations. And he was one of the ones that was like, what happens if you don't do this? Like, what is, you know, what? And I think one of the big things that I would always say is the best way to describe it is what is a good thing and what is a bad thing. Like, is there ever such thing as, you know, you had a good session, cool, why did you have a good session? You had a bad session, why did you have a bad session? What's bad about it? And then, okay, yeah, you felt tired at the end of the thing, but why did you feel tired? What was happening? You know, and there was this actual process on dissecting and breaking it down and not getting hung up on, I had a bad day because I'm tired, but I'm also not acknowledging that, well, actually last night I got stuck doing this, and this morning I feel like this, I had a bad sleep. You can't expect yourself to be 100% all the time. And, you know, I think when I was in college, if I had a bad session, I didn't have a bad session. I think I just had a bad session because someone beat me. Or I had a bad session because I wasn't swimming as fast as I was the day before. But that's because the day before I had 8Ks of absolute soul crushing training. Of course, I'm not going to come back the next day and do the same thing. Like, and then very much my personal, I've had a bad session, fine. I've just got to come back and try harder. You know, it was just, I was crazy fit because I just came in and was trying to beat everyone every day. But there's the process to it, and actually looking back at writing things down, writing why you feel bad today, writing why you feel good today, so you can go back and, you know, this thing, the reason I feel good is because every time I feel good, this happens. I should do this all the time because it makes me feel good. There's a trend here of why I'm feeling bad. I should try and fix this. I think that is, you know, not just going, felt like shit today, write that one off, you know, why? So I think, I think if there was one thing I could go back and tell 21-year-old Matt, that would probably be the mental skill that I would love to just like define what is good or bad and break down why it is. And then also just trying to take out the word bad from, I guess, your vocabulary. There's no such thing as a bad session. There's a session that you can learn from. There's a training that you can learn. but because good and bad is so definitive.
It's outcome, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you had a bad session, but in that session, I wasn't swimming fast, but yes, I had good turns the whole day. Okay, cool. You weren't swimming fast, but you did this, but that's the success. We'll forget about the time. I think that's in a sport, especially like swimming, where so much is defined by time.
Yeah.
You get hung up in that. But it's a hard thing to maintain over a 6-month training. But like there, it's going to be, your body's going to go up a bit. Like it happens.
Yeah. Nice. What do you think? Why I always had this chat with people. Do you think people just don't know what they don't know in terms of mental skills? Why they don't, get that sort of look for that sort of side of things when they're a bit younger?
Yeah, I absolutely think. I mean, because you can only know so much as you get older, right? Like, and I think now in a world that's far more open to discussing mental health, you don't know, a lot of people told me I was probably quite depressed when I was in college. It turns out I very much was. I didn't want to hear it. Mental skills, it's one of those things. I think, growing up, I remember my dad would always say sports is always about the top 2 inches. I never really understood what that meant. I understood it meant like, it's about thinking about what you're doing. I never really understood it was about, all this mental skills and being in control of your mind and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a growing part of sport across all sports. And yeah, it's just one of those things that hopefully I can pass on to younger athletes. It's just like, it's a skill. Like, it's not just something you can do or you can't do. Like, you've got to spend time working on it. Like, it's something you can't just wake up and go, oh, I'm going to brush off a bad day. Yeah. You can't just be like, oh, I had a bad day today, but thank God Matt told me to think about the good things that went well. No, you had a bad day, you're upset. Like, that is so normal and that's sort of feel. And it's like, all right, feel that, take it. Now, you've had a minute or two, let's step back. And again, it's something you have to practice every single day, every single training to do it. And then it comes at it. And that's what, and someone said the Olympic final, there's 8 people in the Olympic final that are the best of the best of the best. But in those 8 people, the people that are going to, what separates the best of the best of the best to be the best? Like there's only so much room to go.
Yeah. So are you looking to get back into competitive swimming? Is that what you're saying?
No, not currently. I was recently back. So yeah. So I got back in the water a couple of years ago. The big goal was to try to make Paris. Didn't quite work out. But yeah, it was a base around like relay ends and stuff like that. But I think talking success, I think where that 2 years of swimming left me is a much better spot with how I view the sport, how I view sports in general, how I feel about myself as an athlete, how I feel about my career beforehand. So I think it was really good. It was very cathartic. It was great. And, I got back in the sport. I realized I really did actually enjoy the sport more than I used to think I did. Now just sort of being on that coaching and teaching side, it's a different side of it. It's a different mentality. So, yeah.
Yeah, nice. And is that something you want to go down that coaching path to a higher level?
It's certainly something I'm looking into. I think if I was going to follow that path, I'll probably find my way back to America. I'd love to be a college coach. You're just more opportunity over there working with a higher level of athletes across the board and just stuff like that. So, at the moment, biding my time teaching kids how to swim and coaching some lower level, some younger age group squads and stuff like that. But, it's definitely something I feel like I have an avenue in, and I like to think I'm all right at it. People tend to think I'm all right at it. So, it's only been a year and a bit that I've been doing it. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, in the amount of time we've done together, I've got better. Get a lot of work to do. There's still a long way to go, but so we're talking about the retirement side of things. So you were obviously retired when you were pretty young, with the initial were you like 23?
Yeah, 23. Yeah, so end of
Yeah.
17. So pretty much bang on a year after the Olympics, I'd pretty much decided.
Yeah.
Done with the sport. 2017 was pretty tough year results wise, and just the stress of being done with uni, figuring out what I was going to do, training for this. And then in general, just not really having a good way of dealing with disappointment, I guess, would be
right.
the footing with it. Well, I'd never really knew how to, I guess, process it. I get participating myself. So in 2017, pretty much said I'd given up on sport and tried to remain positive about it. And I think at the time I wasn't really aware of the reasons why.
Mm.
And that really wasn't until a couple of years later that I really, and to be fair, it wasn't until I watched the Tokyo Olympics that it really started. I was like, shit, maybe one, I was like, damn, maybe I do miss it. And the second part, it was like, I actually do need to go and seek some help. And then So it was a bit of a weird time for a few years, but.
So do you think if you got that mental skills help at a younger age, that you might have just carried on and, stayed at a computer? Like, do you think that's because you didn't have those skills, the passion kind of maybe went away because of that, like the enjoyment and passion kind of thing?
I don't think the passion ever went away. I don't think that was ever the issue. I think arguably the fact that I was probably too passionate was probably downfall. I don't think
enjoyment.
I don't think I ever lost the passion for the sport. I think the sport just became, it became everything that I was, in my mind, it became everything that I was.
Your identity.
It became my identity, and I get this view of everyone knew me as this person. I felt like I was letting so many people down and this, and and once you go down, it just kept going down, 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 and it was just a good period of time where it never came back up. And I just blamed all that on swimming. I was like, swimming is making me feel this well. So I was like, I'm just going to look away, and it is what it is. And I it's one of those things I like to say that if I could go back and forth to 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old Matt, if we could do this. But then also at the time, I'm not 100% sure for me at that age, never have listened. I feel like everyone that's ever become an adult has gone through the same process. You hear something as a teenager, and then you're an adult, and you tell a teenager something, you go, oh, I've become this person now. And you just know, I've been told this before, but when I was that age, I didn't really listen. So, I'd like to think that, if I had developed those skills, I definitely had been told about these kinds of things, like keeping training diaries. I just, I never did it.
So valuing it or actually knowing how it would help. Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's just one of those things. Well, I'll never know. I'm sure it would have helped if I couldn't. If you could just take, I'd like to think if I could take my mindset now and put it in 20-year-old Matt, would be a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately not how you only get one chance at it. Sometimes it kind of was at that show.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I found our programs, we actually try to avoid calling it mental skills. We'll call it thrive under pressure, or we'll try, because it does. I just think people just don't really know how to handle it. Not know how to handle it, just don't know how to. It's a bit of a taboo, or it's a bit unusual for them to sort of. I don't know, but as soon as you talk about performance, because people just want to perform, and I think it's also the hard work. It can be quite confronting stuff that they might not want to do.
Yeah, it's hard work, and I think the thing I found with swimming is it's so. I always found it so easy to train for swimming. I didn't really have to go out of my way to do it. I turned up to the pool, I jumped in the water, and I'd follow the training circuit. I swam fast. The goals was hit out for me on right there, but there was no goal saying, oh, today you're going to think about, this is the goal of our stroke. Today, after the session, you need to write down 3 things that you did well. There was none of that was the part, that extra part that when I left the pool, I wasn't doing. And the people that do that really well are often the people that do really well. And it's like you said, it's probably hard to call it ninja skills. Like, just really got to treat your brain as another section of your physical performance is one of the biggest things that'll hold you back. So
it's I think it's just the thing is just getting the buy-in initially, and then if they have that open mind, and they see a little bit of results.
Yeah.
Because almost everyone that comes to us for mental skills coaching comes to us when they're struggling, rather than as you say, like looking at as a skill that they need to work on, just as like swimming.
It always there's someone's
cricket balls or whatever. Yeah.
It always tends to be someone's last thing. Like, it's never something they get on the foot of. It's always like, oh shit, what's holding me back? And then you're already on the ball. So yeah.
And as soon as someone has a bad performance, the first thing they do is go back and just work on their technical skills, right? It's like, I think it's pretty normal, but it's just a matter of how as a society and as coaches we can try and get that buy-in, and maybe like I actually try and just bring it into normal coaching sessions, like subtly, like so they're not actually really aware that it's mental skills coaching. Which is kind of I think probably the easiest way of doing it.
Yeah.
I
think
for me personally, like I'm lucky that I'm quite self-aware because of the training we've done, but I know the reason I'm a bad swimmer is because I've got a limiting belief, because I hated swimming as a kid, because I had the drowning incident, which is now I'm embarrassed that I can't swim because I'm 40 and I'm not a swimmer, and I don't like going to the pool because everyone's better than me, but I'm aware of that. Whereas I think a lot of people just are subconscious to that. They're just, it's uncomfortable, I don't want to do it, but they don't know why.
Yep. I mean, it's very nice
trying to get through that.
It's a very natural state, I guess, of humans in our mind. Like, the hardest approach is often the one we try to avoid. So, anytime it's uncomfortable or dangerous or anything, your body's like, well, why are we going to do that? There's no point in doing that. And, I think once you can get in that hub, that's what kind of takes you to that next level.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't have gone to you for the swimming lessons if this CrossFit event didn't turn up, So that kind of forced me into it. So that was good. But
sometimes all you need is that with a push.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool, man. Is there anything, anything that we haven't covered, or anything you want to, if you're talking, if any young swimmers out there, you've already given a lot of great advice, but anything else you'd want to advise to a young swimmer or an old man like me that doesn't want to learn to swim? Or
I mean, I think my general go-to advice, and I think it has been for a long time, and even when I was struggling myself, was, there's no point in doing it if you don't enjoy it. Like, you have to enjoy it, but you have to enjoy what you're doing for everything that it is. And there's a great joke in swimming. It's like, there's like the top three things swimmers hate is cold water, early mornings, and swimming. It's no one hates the sport of swimming more than swimmers who have to go and do it every single time. But there's something that brings them back again and again and again. Like, there's horrible parts to it, but is the net gain better than the kind of thing that's and if you're not surrounded by people you enjoy, move. If you're not enjoying the results, so find a way to go. And if you don't, maybe it's you're not going to go really far if you're just doing it because you feel like you have to. So I think at the end of the day, it always comes down to enjoying what you're doing and finding a passion for what you enjoy doing. So
Nice. Cool, man. Well, thanks for your time, and appreciate all your hard work trying to teach me to swim. I am feeling a lot more confident.
Yeah, we're getting there.
And now that this race is out of the way, I can just swim for.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about a goal.
I'm trying to be. When's the next Olympics? Have we got time?
Yes, enough. We can do that.
Doggy paddle, maybe doggy paddle is a new event. We might have a chance.
Yeah.
No, but thanks for your time, mate. Appreciate it. It's cool to hear, a bit of your backstory and what goes behind the scenes, and yeah, cool also just to hear like what happens in the Olympic Village and the build up and all the, it's funny, like the Olympics is, it's every 4 years all of a sudden we watch all these sports that we don't really care about for the other 4 years, and then but it's awesome.
Every seems like we've never seen them before. It's like, oh my god, I've never watched an episode. Like, you've done this every 4 years.
Yeah.
The amount of people that come out of my life and like, oh my god, are you watching the swimming? Like, obviously I'm watching swimming. Like, why? But it's the only swimming ever that's on TV. Of course, I'm going to sit down and watch to stream all the stuff in Woodlands. So yeah.
Go in. Oh, thanks again for your time, and I'll see you at the pool.
Yeah, fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Evolve Your Game podcast. Hope you've taken some insight and enjoyed what we had to offer today. Make sure you like and subscribe and share on your socials. Tag us. We always like to see who's listening. And we'll catch you back next week on the Evolve Your Game podcast.